want to talk about a very, very important topic today, and it's about people who live in Africa but they are not Africans. It's a research I made, and I found that there are people who live in Africa but they are not Africans. Okay, there is these people that are called Negroes or Negrita. They live in a specific part of West Africa, but they are not Africans. Okay, and the question someone will ask is, who are these Negroes and where did they come from? According to Zondervan, in 70 AD, a Roman general Titus conquered Jerusalem. Millions of Israelites were not killed or captured but fled into Africa and migrated into Negro land over centuries. So it meant that these people, because of the war in their home country, Jerusalem or Israel, they left their country, they ran away, they fled for their lives, and they migrated to Africa, and they lived in a specific part of Africa called Negro land. And these people were called Negroes. Okay, so the Negroes were Israelites, exiles, or refugees who moved and settled in Negro land. So it means that these people that were called Negroes were not Africans. They were Israelites who went to exile, or refugees who were looking for a better life because already their home country has been invaded. So they fled from their home country and went to Africa, which was nearby, for their lives, and they migrated to a specific place called the Negro land. Okay. Uh, if you want to identify the Negro land, how will you identify that place? How can you map it out? Okay, from my research, I found that the slave coast was also called the Kingdom of Judah. The slave coast, it was the place that these Negroes settled. It was also called the Kingdom of Judah. Okay, what are the tribes of Negro land? No, these Negroes left their home country, fled to Africa to settle. What were which tribes were the ones that settled in Africa? I don't know if I'm making my points clear. Okay, let's dig deep into it. Okay, the Southern Kingdom consists of 3 tribes of the children of Israel. They include the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, that is Jamaicans, Trinidadians, that's Trinidad, Guyanese, Saint Antigua, Barbados, and other Caribbean islands. And the third tribe is the tribe of Levi, which is Haitians today, that's Haiti. Now, so it means that these people who were victims of slave trade were specifically these tribes or this Negro land or these Negroes. So during the slave trade, it was a target on the Negroes or the Negro land to dispatch these people, this specific set of people, into different parts of the world. I don't know if my point is coming across clear. During slave trade, the slave coast, which is the Kingdom of Judah, was an area dedicated to trafficking of slaves to United States of America and other parts of the world. So during slave trade era, there is this specific target that these people were being, distributed across the world during slave trade era. So it was a target. They were the target of slave trade. So US or United States is the current homeland to millions of descendants of the tribe of Judah as well as other tribes of Israel. Am I making my point clear? So it means that when you hear there are lost tribes of Israel, these were the tribes, some of the tribes that went into slave trades, into slavery. These were the tribes that went into slavery, some of these lost tribes of Israel. Okay, another question is, why were Negroes the target during slave trade era? This is a very important question. Now, they were the target because they had special abilities that distinguished them, and Africans knew it. The Negroes were not part of Africans, so they were the target because they had special abilities that distinguished them from Africans, and Africans knew it. They knew, okay, we might look alike, we might sound alike, but we are not the same people. Irrespective you live in Africa does not mean you are an African. Do you get my point? So they were the target during the slave trade era. So Africans helped to send these Negroes off their land. They sent them off because, so that's why at times you wonder, why is it that Africans sold their fellow Africans? No, they were not really selling their fellow Africans. They knew that these Negroes were a different set of people. So Africans sold the Negroes into slave trade. It's getting interesting. So now, the slang nigger, sometimes you hear people calling themselves nigger. Hey, what's up, nigger? This slang nigger originated from Negro, and is very common among African Americans or Black Americans. That's where that slang originated from. Okay, and the shock is this: Negroes and Africans do not have the same ancestral history. Let me repeat myself again. I said Negroes and Africans do not have the same ancestral history. These are distinctive sets of people. Negroes and Africans are two different people. Irrespective that Negroes settled in Africa and they had a land called Negro land does not mean they were Africans. Africans knew that these people were not part of us, they were not us, so they sold them during the slave trade. So when you go to Zondervan slave trade map and research, you find that during slave trade there was a target. That's the slave coast was the target because the Negroes lived there. That specific place or area was the target of slave trade because Africans knew that these people were not part of us, so they were vulnerable during the slave trade era. Okay, very important question. Are there still Negroes living in Africa today? Absolutely. I will not say that all Negroes were sent to slave trade. There are still Negroes living in Africa today. And how you could find them around Slave Coast area, Niger River area. Niger River should be around in Nigeria, Guinea, Cameroon, and I think within those areas, I think also Ghana, Slave Coast, there's a Slave Coast area in Ghana, That's Cape Coast. They call it Cape Coast, and there are remnants of Negroes still living in Africa. There is no doubt about that. Okay, okay. Not all Africans are blacks. Not all Africans or blacks are Negroes, and not all Negroes are Africans. I want that to sink deep down in your heart. It's true we might look alike, you might look alike, but there are specific people who are not Africans. This might sound like discriminatory, but it's not. This is reality. Okay, does this explains why African hates black Americans? Or why some blacks hate some blacks? Or why some Africans hate some blacks? I would say yes, it does. Because there is this instinct that tells you that this person is not part of us. That sounds like discriminatory, but you know, that's why most Africans don't like black Americans and most black Americans don't like blacks, because there is this internal hatred that they sold us out. They sold us out to slavery, you know. So I think it's part of it. It's part of it as well. Okay, how can you identify the real Negroes back in Africa? How can you really identify Negroes in Africa today? Well, most of them have lost their true identity, and because most of them have lost their true identity, it will be very very difficult for you to say this is a Negro or this is an African. And remember, I told you that there are people who live in Africa who have who have who has E1B1A haplogroup haplogroup DNA, and there are people who live in Africa who has E1B1B haplogroup DNA. Now, these are two distinctive people, and there are other haplogroups as well. But I want you to realize that in Africa, that Negroes are not Africans, and Africans are not Negroes. These are two distinctive people that may live together, but remember, over years they've intermingled, married each other, so it will be very very difficult for you to say this is a Negro or this is an African. But there is no doubt that this evidence are true. I want you to go and do your research and find out if what I'm saying is true or not. I'm not making all these things up. These are researches I've made, and I've come to conclusion that are two distinctive people who live in Africa, and also some of those who you see in other parts of the world like Trinidad, Jamaica, Barbados, Haitians, Haiti. you know these people, we are different from Africans. They are not really African. They may look alike, sound alike, but these are distinctive sets of people that their ancestral origin are different. Africans and Negroes have no close ancestral heritage. It's difficult to swallow. It's a very hard pill to swallow, but that's the reality. So I want you to check it out. I will drop the link of my research so you see if what I'm saying is true or not. I hope this helps you to dig deep down and do your research. I'm not doing this video to create division, but I'm making this video for us to know who we really are, our origin, and our sense of identity. Because if you know where you came from, you could trace your cultural values, you could trace your ancestral heritage that you could live by and make your life better. Until next time, I boss.